without knowing what was coming at the end of 2019, beginning of 2020 with the pandemic, you were perfectly positioned, I thought, with the absolutely perfect gig for being in that position when people felt were isolated. They were at home. A lot of people were remote working. You already had the remote thing down doing this. You were able to tell us, your news background was helping keeping us informed on what seemed to change every hour with the information with the pandemic, and people could talk back to you in real time, like radio does. I just thought, wow. And I remember when you first left WCPO and you'd been home for a while, you were like, I didn't realize how many people don't watch television.
That still to this day surprises me, but I'm in that world now. Like I watch it, but I watch TV, I watch news, I watch local news, but not nearly the way I thought people watched it when I was in news.
Right.
But you're exactly right. When the pandemic hit, I was doing, and I still do now, I do Facebook Lives at 10 a.m. on the Enquirer's Facebook page, weekdays. We added one in the afternoon, and the views were going through the roof. And it was because, you're right, everybody's at home. You just, at that point, and it's hard to remember because it feels like it's been a million years ago in some ways, and just like 6 months in others. Right. But people were just eating up any information they could get. Anything they could do. And we were all at home. We all needed a break from time to time from doing Zoom calls and work and at home school and all of that. It was, we didn't know at the time, and we started it in 2018, that in 2020, that social media discussion, and that's what I do every morning, is kind of talk about headlines and interview people, would really speak to people where they were at that moment. And in addition to that, a little kind of side hustle cropped up for me at that same time, in that, here we go with transferable skills. I kept watching these Zoom calls and I'm like, why don't these people know how to frame themselves and like themselves? What is wrong with people? And then I thought, wait a minute, this is what I've been doing for 25 years. This is why. And so I started teaching people how to frame their Zoom shots. And the thing is, that sounds very shallow and very simple, but like I've worked with, whether it's CEOs and authors, college students doing virtual interviews, like that, this is an important time to look good. And it's not just about looking good. The way you present yourself on camera these days is how you're seen. It is the new like handshake. It's the new, first impression. You want to wear your best outfit kind of interview situation. So if you look and sound good on a Zoom situation, just like this, the impression is that you are better at your job. Maybe you're not, but the impression is that you are. And so that has created a whole nother little world for me. So I help people and organizations kind of make sure that they're presenting their best face forward, as I like to say.
And we'll sidebar with the radio person later so that I get my lighting right.
you got it good. It's looking good, Amanda. I like it.
Oh my gosh, it's so hard to be up at 3 a.m. So Kathrine, you have two daughters. I have one. They're going to be entering the workforce in less than a decade. Probably it's going to feel a lot faster than that.
Oh, yes.
What advice that we haven't covered do you have for our daughters, or maybe a younger version of you that you wish you had as you were heading into college and beyond?
Yeah. I picked a job as I headed into college wanting to do sports that was predominantly male. And I worked with a bunch of amazing men, but I also worked with a couple, or not with them, but like maybe peripherally, that did not think I should be there. And they made it very, very clear that they did not think I should be there. And at the time, this is before Me Too, this is before I had this revelation of, come get me, right? So these days I would not take it. But as a 22-year-old in that situation, I took it. And I made jokes about it or whatever. And I made little rules within my own head that, I better not wear a skirt when I cover sports, because then they might think a certain way about. None of that should matter, but it did. And in many cases it does. And so what I will tell my kids when they hit the real world as it is that, you're just as good as anybody else, and better in some ways than other people, and maybe not as good in some ways as other people. I like to tell them, you have other strengths when they do things that maybe there's not algebra, that maybe not be their
right.
finest moment, but there are things that, just like the rest of us, there are things that that you can do that you're going to be better than anyone else, and don't let anyone tell you you can't, just because of your age, where you're from in the country, where you're from, on which side of the river. That's my favorite, or your gender. Maybe that's going the opposite direction of everyone gets a trophy, or maybe it's right in the same realm. I don't know. But either way, if I do anything, my kids are going to come out of this house confident, maybe too confident in some cases, but nonetheless, a little confidence, especially for women, could go a whole long way.
Kathrine, thank you so much. I'm so glad you got to sit down and talk with me today. I could do this again with you about 4, 5, 6, 8 times.
Oh yeah, I'm in. I'll do it. Thank you so much, Amanda.